Okay, if not, let me come to the, let me share the screen. No.
Sir, notes of last class is not shared.
Yeah, because I had just got one page actually, and I
Okay, sir.
thought that I would be modifying it. So, but today I will share, right?
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. What are you seeing on the screen now?
Sir, I can see you.
Okay, but okay, this screen is not shared. It looks. Let me see. Okay, share screen, and then I share this. Oh, how come this comes on? I should... Are you seeing the notes now?
No, sir.
No, sir, we are
I
seeing
must see.
Teams tab
No, sir.
actually.
See the problem. Let me come back. So I will close this window first, and then I will run to, and I will then do this, and I am not able to share this to screen. Lecture 17. Okay.
Now I can see notes, sir.
Okay, good, good. This technology I still could not understand clearly, so that's
Sir,
fine.
this is
Okay,
bad technology.
okay. By hit and trial, I get it. Okay, right, fine. So shall we start now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes,
So last time we were discussing this dispersion and chirping, and let me revise a bit. So if you plot the dispersion coefficient as a function of wavelength, so by now you should be, let me expand the screen, right. So this is how this curve look like. Dispersion coefficient become 0 at certain wavelength, which we call as zero dispersion wavelength. So what I was discussing, that the region where you have positive dispersion, then the region where you have dispersion. I had put the dispersion coefficient in this form. So dispersion coefficient is basically the rate of change with respect to lambda of time taken by the wavelength in a unit length of the fiber, and this is minus 1 by Vg square dVg by d lambda. So you can see if d is positive, then dVg by d lambda would be negative, and if d is negative, then it would be positive. So naturally the Vg versus lambda curve, if you plot, this would be something like this. At zero dispersion wavelength, this curve would have tangent would be parallel to the x-axis, and I think this is we had discussed last time. So what does it mean? Positive dispersion region. Because dVg by d lambda is negative, it means as wavelength increases, Vg decreases. So higher wavelength, they travel with smaller group velocity, they take longer time. And when they take longer time, higher wavelength, so the pulse, the frequency across the pulse, that is not constant. The pulse get chipped. This is what we call it. Pulse get dispersed. So if I plot the output pulse as a function of time, then red wavelength, higher wavelength would reach at a later time, so t would be higher. So this is how, if you plot the frequency, instant frequency in the pulse envelope, it would look like. Initially you start a pulse where the frequency across the pulse envelope was same, there was no chirping, but now the pulse get chirped. This is the leading edge, lower time, because this is what you will detect first. But remember, if I would have plotted as a function of z, then the pulse envelope and the instant frequency would be look like this. Anyway, we generally discuss in terms of time coordinate. So this is the trailing edge, or this is the leading edge. Some people say front end and back end, like that. So leading edge is blue shifted and trailing edge is red shifted. So pulse is get chipped, and if you look the frequency as a function of time, d omega by dt, because as t increases, omega decreases, d omega by dt is negative, so we call it as a down chip pulse. And in a similar fashion, if d is negative, then dVg by d lambda would be positive, and higher wavelength travel with higher group velocity, so they reach first. So now the leading edge would be red shifted and trailing edge would be blue shifted. Now you should see it carefully. When I started with the pulse, it gets broadened and get chipped. I am talking about the linear medium. If I take this pulse, and so this is my suppose starting pulse. So now if I pass it, sorry, let me say this, the starting pulse. So right now it is broadened because it has passed through a medium with positive dispersion coefficient. If I now pass it through a negative dispersion coefficient medium, then the chirp would be of the opposite sign. So it means the pulse would start compressing itself because the chirping is reducing, and finally it will reach to a point when there is no chirping and the pulse width would be equal to the original pulse width. But if you propagate this pulse in the same medium further, then it would again be chirped, but in the opposite direction, and it will also get broadened. And this has a very important actually applications I will discuss. So here I have written, I will read it so that in a linear medium, as pulse gets broadened, its frequency contents remain same. If we take the Fourier transform of the chipped pulse also, that would be the same as that of the unchipped pulse. So if this down-chipped pulse is passed through a medium with negative dispersion, it will be first compressed till it becomes unchipped and gets its original width. If it travel further, it will get broadened again and with opposite tip. One of the application of this dispersion coefficient negative and positive in dispersion compensation, I will come to this point slightly later, but let me share another article, and I will send you that copy of that article that is written by Professor Ghatak and recently, and but that is basically the same which I will be discussing in a moment. And let me see where. So this is CPA, and then root What are you seeing on your screen, by the way?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing, sir. Okay, let me share again. Sharing contents to the problem. Hmm. Screen one. Okay, let me see screen one. What is this? What are you seeing now?
Sir,
No new
your
file?
desktop.
Okay, my desktop. Okay. Desktop plus lecture 17. If I put a desktop, sorry, what are you seeing now?
Your desktop, sir.
So just minimize the IVS.
Just minimize it, sir. Yes, yes. We can see the article. Dispersion management and chip pulse.
This is what I want to show you. So anyway, this article I will be discussing slightly later, but let me come to the next, this last application. I do not know whether you have seen these gentlemen's. Left side is Professor Ghatak and right side is Professor Soda. He is retired long back, but Professor Soda is responsible to start the fiber optics this research area in the country and in our IIT first. So he persuaded Professor Ghatak to start to work in fiber optics, and that is how it started here actually. So let me come. So those chirping phenomena I had shown you schematically there, but these are the actual, I will show you the actual calculations. Yeah. So what I have discussed just now, suppose you start with a pulse, untripped pulse, and here gamma is in different notation actually. It is related with dispersion coefficient, but I will come to this point. So you can say this. So this basically corresponds to positive dispersion region when you will see the definition of gamma, and you can see that the trailing edge is red shifted and front end is blue shifted. So if you pass this pulse through a opposite dispersion medium, then it will be again unchanged, and this is the principle of dispersion compensation. So I will come to this point. Yeah, but another application, which is a very important application, and if you follow, then Donna Strickland and Gerald Morrow, they shared the Nobel Prize on this discovery 2 years back, and so what they have actually used this phenomena to realize high in energy pulses, very short high energy pulses. So the working principle is like this. Okay, it is interesting to read this also. The technique is someone like this. First, the laser pulses are passed through a grating pair in which the group velocity decreases with wavelength, so that the laser pulses are broadened and downchipped. So this is what I discussed, that if you first pass it through a positive dispersion region, I will come to these figures. The pulse with reduced peak power is then amplified, and this amplified pulse is passed through a system in which the group velocity decreases with wavelength, so that the laser pulse gets compressed again. So as a result, we will get a very intense short duration pulse, and this has extremely important applications. Such ultra short high intensity laser pulses, and this phenomena is known as chip pulse amplification. First you chip the pulse, broaden it, so its peak intensity is decreased. Then we amplify it, and then after amplifying it, we again unchip it, and so it is compressed, and you, as a result, you get very high intensity. So this is very important application in industry. For example, in cancer treatment, in many commercial products, in eye surgery. And just one data here, since 2011, CPA has been used in 24 million eye operations. And that is such a very important application because of that. Although the idea is not very great, it looks obvious now, but because of its application, they were awarded this Nobel Prize, shared Nobel Prize. So this is how, again, it looks like. So first, the pulse is broadened, so its peak intensity is reduced. Then we pass it through amplifier, and then it is amplified. So this is amplified pulse. Its chirping is still maintained, and then we pass it through a medium of opposite dispersion, so the pulse get compressed. Now they realize is using a pair of gratings. So this is their experimental setup. So initially a short pulse, and using a pair of gratings, it is chipped. So in peak intensity is reduced. Then it is passed through amplifier. After amplifier, this is amplified, but chirping remains same. Chirping is not changed. But now we use another pair of gratings, which produce opposite chirping, and you get a very highly intense laser pulse. I will share with you this article. So let me. So do you understand this application? So
Yes.
okay. So let me come back on my class note. So I will close this window. Okay. What are you seeing now? My class notes?
So notes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. So another application is in dispersion compensation. So as I told you that,
So,
yes.
sir, you said frequency is not changing, but sir, by seeing figure is it's look like it's changing.
What is changing?
Sir, you said this in upper paragraph, the theory part.
Yeah.
Sir, yes, sir. So the frequency is not
Actually, I
changing.
had thought that I will put this dispersion compensation later on, right?
Okay.
Because I have not discussed in detail here on this slide. So I thought that probably I will remodify it, but I then thought it doesn't matter. And okay, I will
So,
share
sir,
this.
so the frequency is changing or not?
Sequence of what?
So frequency. So frequency
So
of
you
that.
are talking about frequency.
Yes, sir.
So which frequency you are saying?
Sir, sir, in figure which is pulse is showing, sir, in
Yeah.
that it look like sir, frequency is changing. First is slow and then is high.
Okay. Let me
Just in that figure,
this figure. Okay.
just a red and blue part. This,
Okay.
sir,
So
in the red part,
frequency, because fire pulse, a finite duration pulse, time pulse. So through Fourier spectrum, if you take Fourier spectrum, you can show that this contains different frequencies. Right now, what I have plotted the instant frequency of the light in the pulse envelope. So that across the pulse remain constant, but the fact that it has a finite time duration, it has a certain bandwidth. So it's not a single frequency pulse, you should remember. If you take its Fourier transform, that decides the frequency spectrum. But
yes.
now because, okay, let me come the positive dispersion case here. So now the red wavelengths, they travel slower, so they are reaching at later time. So across the pulse and whatever frequencies we have in this pulse, they are redistributed. So there is no generation of any new frequency.
Okay.
right?
Sir, why you write here T is increasing and omega is decreasing? Sir, in next line.
In next slide. Okay.
In next line, sir, line.
Next
Line.
line.
There's
Are
a
you
pulse is
talking
shift.
about this
There's a
this line?
pulse is sir, upper. Uh,
Okay.
pulse is shift down shift bracket and T greater than omega less.
Moment.
Sir,
You're
after the
talking
figure.
about this figure, na?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So
Sir,
what
sir,
I'm saying here is that higher wavelength, let me come to this. This is positive dispersion case I am talking about,
yes, sir,
right?
yes, sir.
So dVg by d lambda is negative. Do you agree that higher wavelength would have lower group velocity?
Yes, sir.
So higher wavelength would reach at a later time, higher time.
Yes, sir.
So at the output end, when I plot the pulse as a function of time output intensity, so at higher values of time, you will get red wavelengths,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Lower frequencies. Is this what you are talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yes, understand?
सर मैं सिंपली यही कह रहा हूँ ना कि जैसे एक चीज जो वो पहले पहुंच रही है वो बाद में पहुंच रही है तो फ्रीक्वेंसी का डिफरेंस होगा तभी तो पहुंच रही है सर वो
हाँ, तो ये तो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि this pulse input pulse at several frequencies.
ठीक है सर
Around carrier frequency omega is equal to omega naught. It has higher frequencies, lower frequencies.
ओके ओके
So lower frequencies are reaching late and higher frequencies are reaching first.
ओके ओके हाँ ठीक है सर ओके सर
That is
ओके
why the pulse is broadened. If all the frequencies would have reached at the same time, then there is no broadening,
ओके सर नो गॉट
right?
ओके
Yeah, you
थैंक यू
should go through it carefully. It is a good concept actually. You should understand it carefully.
ओके सर
So, as I told you that in the second generation, I mean in 1990s, single mode fiber which were optimized around 1.3 micron were laid down. And till now, most of the communication systems, cables which are laid down in practice, they are optimized at 1.3 micron. But now the wavelength of operation has shifted to 1.55 micron. As I discussed earlier, it has certain advantages because at 1.55 the loss in the fiber is minimum. At the same time, if you shift the zero dispersion wavelength here, so the loss would be minimum. And at this wavelength, we have erbium doped fiber amplifier. So whatever loss is still there, that can be compensated using erbium doped fiber amplifier in an inline mode. So how to now, if you want to use 1.55 micron wavelength for communication, so one way is that we lay down all the cables again, but that is a very costly affair. So people thought that how can we use the same cables but at the 1.55 micron? And at 1.55 micron, if the fiber is, so in this figure I have shown you this group velocity. If it is a conventional single mode fiber, then it is optimized at 1.3 micron. So group velocity curve would be like this. Beyond 1.3, you would have positive dispersion region, and below 1.3, you would have negative dispersion wavelength. So now if I use this fiber at 1.55, so I have not shown the dispersion curve, but it should be clear to you. Dispersion coefficient would be something like this. It would be 0.3 and positive in this region. So if I use it in the same fiber, if you use 1.55 micron wavelength, then the fiber would have some positive dispersion. So what should be done then to compensate this positive dispersion? So people suggested that if we can get a fiber which has a very high negative dispersion coefficient. So for example, if the normal fiber has a 20 picosecond per kilometer nanometer, so maybe we have 4,000, another fiber 4,000 picosecond per kilometer nanometer with a negative sign. So that negative dispersion, a very short length of such a fiber, if it is spliced in the communication link, that would be able to compensate the positive dispersion developed in the fiber link over a very long length. Such a fiber is known as dispersion compensating fiber. And very simple principle that total dispersion developed in the first fiber and the second fiber should be equal to 0. So if the total dispersion coefficient of the first fiber is dt1 and its length is L1, then dt2 is the dispersion coefficient in the second fiber, length of the dispersion compensating fiber is L2. So this should be equal to 0. Only thing is that we should have a fiber so that dt2 is extremely high as compared to dt1, so that a very short length of the fiber introduced in the link would be able to compensate the positive dispersion developed in the fiber. So such fiber are known as dispersion compensating fiber, and there are various designs. People have reported a lot of research work was carried out in this direction, that how to design a single mode fiber which has a very high negative dispersion coefficient. So I am not discussing it this right now, and I have written here is for this discussion you read chapter 15 of Introduction to Fiber Optics, article 15.1 to 15.3, because it's mostly theoretical discussion actually, no mathematics. So I would like that if you go through it first and then I discuss, then you would be able to understand better. Otherwise I will just go through it and you may not be able to get it, the idea, right? So let me one more thing before I come to my next further discussion. Let me tell you that this dispersion coefficient that can be put in several forms. So as I discussed earlier, that it is basically the rate of change of time with respect to lambda of time taken by wave, that particular wavelength light in unit length of the fiber. If you put this, I already discussed, if you put T is equal to H1 by Vg, you can also put it in terms of Vg, right? You can also put it in terms of d square beta by d omega square, because dVg by d omega lambda, Vg is nothing but d omega by d beta, or I think better would be I put it like this, yeah, here T is equal to 1 by Vg, and that is d beta by d omega. So if you calculate dt by d lambda, that is dispersion coefficient. So you can write down d omega by d lambda into d by d omega of d beta by d omega minus, and d omega by d lambda, omega is equal to 2 pi c by lambda. So d omega by d lambda is equal to minus 2 pi c by lambda square d square beta by d omega square. So you can also put it in this, right? Sometimes you know d square beta by d omega square. Actually in that figure, that article I had shared, that gamma which they were talking about, gamma is nothing but d square beta by d omega square. So gamma is less than 0 means positive dispersion coefficient. So you should be careful in different literature. Sometimes they talk in terms of d square beta by d omega square. So till now what I have discussed, that how to calculate the dispersion in a single mode fiber with a very simple approach, and that approach is quite, I had assumed that your input pulse is a delta pulse, so there is no input pulse width. But let me discuss a more close, because in practice you would be having a finite pulse width of your input pulse. So how should we find out the output pulse shape if you are giving some input pulse? So let me assume that the input pulse is given by some function f of t. And now this point of bandwidth, which one of you were confusing, it should be clear that f of t I can write down as integral over its Fourier transform exponential I omega t d omega, where a omega is nothing but the Fourier transform of f of t, which is defined like this: 1 upon 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity f of t exponential minus I omega t. So what does it mean physically? That this function f of t have different frequencies, and those different frequencies, their amplitude, their relative power, a square of omega would be the relative power, or this amplitude is given by this function. So now if I have a single mode fiber, so at z is equal to 0, I am launching power in say single mode fiber. You can have a multi-mode fiber, then it would be more than one mode, but let me confine right now to one mode only. So this is my field of my input pulse can be described like this. Psi of r phi, phi f of t, and of course I should have exponential I omega 0 t here, because the omega 0 is the carrier frequency. So I forgot to write down here, but that is my field, right? So now f of t, if I write down in terms of its Fourier transform, so you can write down at z is equal to 0, this is the field. So you can take psi of r phi, in fact inside, it doesn't matter. Means that you have different frequencies with amplitude a omega. And now these different frequencies, they propagate with different propagation constant. If beta is the propagation constant corresponding to frequency omega, then field at z is equal to z, I mean at a later distance, that would be simply that each frequency, phase of each frequency component is now changed, and so this is how the output pulse would look like. Now here I would like to tell you that I have neglected the wavelength dependence of psi r phi, and this is quite okay, because as I will discuss here, when you integrate this Fourier transform, that is a very sharply peaked function around carrier frequency. So bandwidth is extremely small in terms of nanometer or something like that, and over that region there is almost no change in the field pattern, right? So output field would be like this. So my input pulse, which was given by f of t, now it becomes fz of t at z is at a later distance, and z of t is nothing like this. So this is the rigorous approach, and there is no approximation here. Now I will consider a case of a Gaussian pulse, because for Gaussian pulse many of these integrals can be done analytically. So let me assume my input pulse is a Gaussian pulse, and it is given by some constant exponential minus t square by tau naught square exponential I omega 0 t. Omega 0 is the carrier frequency, and tau 0 is the input pulse field. So if I now calculate a omega, then up to this point there is no approximation. A omega comes out, a Fourier transform of a Gaussian function is again a Gaussian function, and this is like this. So now if I calculate the pulse shape at the later distance z, so I substitute it here, so this integral would be like this. Now this integral is difficult to solve actually, so because I do not know the omega dependence of beta. However, if you look at O omega, see at O omega, the width of this Fourier transform is, that is 2 by tau naught, right? And if you calculate delta omega is tau naught, if you calculate delta omega by omega naught, typical values would be of the 10 to the power minus 6. So I have considered initial pulse width 1 nanosecond, and for lambda is equal to 0.8 micron, frequency comes out to be 2.4 into 10 to the power 15. So if you calculate this delta omega is extremely small quantity with respect to omega. So in order to get analytical result, I can make a very good approximation, that I make a binomial expansion of beta of omega around of carrier frequency, and then retain up to the second order term, d square beta by d omega square. And if you substitute here, so I have given these various steps, you substitute here, then f of zt would become like this. Now alpha I have taken d square beta by d omega square evaluated at carrier frequency. This can be, everything can be put in terms of capital omega minus omega naught. You go through these steps, they are self-explained, and I have given all these steps. finally, this integral can be put like this. Where is my cursor? Okay. Yeah, here. And this integral can be evaluated analytically if we use this standard integral, minus infinity to plus infinity exponential minus alpha x square plus beta x dx, that is given by under root pi alpha exponential beta square by 4 alpha. So in this case, you identify what is alpha here and what is beta here. This beta is just a constant over here, it's not a propagation constant. So using this standard integral, the output pulse shape comes out to be this. And now look at this expression, it's a very interesting result. So a Gaussian pulse remains Gaussian, but its pulse width is now changed, tau square of z. That is not tau naught square. I will come to this point, what is the value of tau square of z. And at the same time, it is delayed by a time z by Vg. Vg is the group velocity at carrier frequency, and that is what we expected. That the peak of the pulse is delayed by z by Vg. So pulse is propagating with a group velocity Vg, and the pulse width is now giving tau square of z. And there is a phase part, and this is also very interesting thing, that phase phi of z. If you calculate, phi of z comes out to be like this: omega 0 t plus 2 alpha z by tau naught square 1 by tau square z t minus z by Vg square minus 1 by 2 tan inverse 2 alpha z by tau naught square. I would like you to appreciate that from this, if you have phase of the, suppose you have a constant frequency phase, then phi at z time t, that would be omega t minus beta z, right? So that time dependent part omega t, if you differentiate with respect to time, so you will get the frequency. But now the phase is given by this fraction. So you can find out the instant frequency by differentiating this phase with respect to time. So across the pulse envelope, the instantaneous frequency would be given by this expression. So you differentiate it, so you will get omega 0 plus twice alpha z by tau naught square 1 by 2 t square by z t minus z by Vg. And now you can appreciate that a Gaussian pulse remains Gaussian, but it's a get broadened. But at the same time, alpha is equal to, you remember that alpha I have defined as d square beta by d omega square at omega naught. And d is also can be written as minus 2 pi c lambda square d square beta by d omega square. And now you can appreciate that if d is positive, then alpha is positive, and d omega by d t, that would be negative, right? And so the pulse will get negatively chilled. So this is what we had discussed earlier. And similarly, if d is negative, alpha is positive, and d omega by dt will be positive, and this will lead to a positive chill. So this comes from this analysis very beautifully, that how the instantaneous frequency of the pulse varies across the pulse envelope. Now let me come to the pulse width. Pulse width, if you calculate, that comes out to be tau square z is equal to tau naught square 1 plus 4 alpha square z square pi tau raised to the power 4.
Sir, how are we relating alpha to d omega by dt?
Say it again.
How are we relating alpha to d omega by dt?
Alpha. Alpha, I have defined d square beta by d omega square.
Yes, sir.
Is there any confusion here?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, I had shown you one of the slides that dispersion coefficient can also be written down in this form. Minus 2
Yes.
pi c by lambda square d square beta by d omega square. That's why I had shown you this actually, because
Yes, sir.
this. So when d square beta by d omega square, which I have defined alpha, when alpha is negative, then this dispersion coefficient would be positive. And that
Yes.
article which I have shared you by Professor Ghatak, in
Yes,
that article they define d square denote d square beta by d omega so by gamma, right? So you should
Yes,
be
sir.
careful. Some, I mean, these are just notations actually. Some prefer alpha, some prefer gamma. It
So
doesn't matter,
like
right?
I am asking कि how हम अल्फा को d ओमेगा by dt से कैसे relate कर रहे हैं?
Alpha को, let me come to that. Okay.
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay. So this is the frequency, instantaneous frequency omega t is equal to omega 0 plus this thing, right?
Yes sir.
So what I am saying is if the medium is such that dispersion coefficient is positive
Yes sir.
and dispersion coefficient is related with alpha like this,
Then alpha will be negative.
alpha will be negative. If you
Yes
put
sir.
alpha is equal to negative here, then omega would be decreasing as time increases, right?
Omega would be decreasing as time increases. Yes sir. And then
So
d
d
omega by
omega
dt will
by
be
dt
negative.
would be
Okay.
negative. So
Okay sir.
that is the negative chill,
Okay sir.
right?
Thank you sir.
And similarly, if d is negative, it means alpha is positive, and you should be careful. I mean, somewhere we will talk in terms of alpha, sometimes we will talk in d, and you should be very careful. You should try to understand all these without. I may give question or in a quiz based on this, right? So that terminology should be very clear, although it is confusing, but anyway. So tau square
Okay
of
sir.
z is given by this, and tau is equal to, so the pulse width of a Gaussian pulse whose initial pulse width was tau naught. Now after traveling a distance z, this would be broadened to this. And let me point out that the first derivative of beta with respect to omega, that is the responsible for the delay of the pulse. That is the group velocity, right? So where that expression is, let me come here. Right here, this is the output pulse shape. First derivative of beta with respect to omega, that is group velocity, that is responsible for the delay. And if you look at the pulse width, second derivative alpha, that is responsible for the broadening of the pulse. And alpha is related to dispersion coefficient, so that is what we expect also. But now let me tell you that what is the basic difference between this formulation and the earlier formulation which we discussed, where we had started with the impulse, that input pulse which is almost zero. So if this actually, if that formulation is correct, so this formulation should also lead me to the same result if I assume that my input pulse is extremely narrow pulse width. Or basically what I'm saying is that if I assume that the pulse broadening is much larger than the input pulse width, so I should be able to calculate the pulse dispersion or pulse broadening in this by the earlier it should reduce to the earlier formulation, and that is fine here. So for example, if tau naught is very small or broadening is very large, then so this part would be much higher as compared to 1. So in that case, I can neglect 1 in comparison of the second term, and then tau pulse width. This is pulse width actually, delta tau, right? That would be simply tau naught into under root of this quantity 2 alpha z by tau naught. So this is tau 2 by tau naught alpha z, and 2 by tau naught is nothing but the bandwidth of the pulse, delta omega. And if you put delta omega in terms of delta lambda, so let me show you here. I will come to this point. I have. So Okay. Are you seeing whiteboard on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here, let me put it like this. Okay, yeah, that would be better. So here I. So let me magnify it a little bit. Are you still seeing the whiteboard?
No, sir. Just pin it.
So I made a mistake actually. Now,
Like, sir, it has not been pinned. So,
yeah, I have to pick unpin first. Then I again have to pin it, right?
We can see it, sir.
You can see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
No, sir.
No, sir.
we cannot
we
see.
cannot see it on the whole screen, sir. It is just like a passport size photograph.
You can pin it from your side.
I will pin it right now. What about now? Can you
Sir,
see
we
it?
can pin it
No, sir.
from our side also. So,
Sir, it is
uh,
visible,
everyone can
complete
do it.
screen.
Mhm. Okay, share. Content.
Sir, it is okay.
It is okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now it is okay.
So delta tau is equal to delta omega d square beta by d omega square z, and delta omega you can write down as minus 2 pi c lambda square delta lambda, and delta tau would come out to be like this, and 2 pi c by lambda square d square beta by d omega square is nothing but your dispersion coefficient and L times delta lambda. So you can see that it gives me the same result as we discussed earlier. Is that fine? Okay. Any questions so far? So let me unpin this. Unpin, no, stop spotlighting, right? And I come and start sharing. Okay, if there is no difficulty, so let me share that screen, that question 6 of that tutorial sheet. So tutorial sheet, where is that? Okay, I have not taken yet. It's a okay, but I have this. Just a moment. Are you seeing the whiteboard?
No, sir.
So I have to fill this. What about now?
No, sir. We can see it now, sir.
Okay, okay. So can you read it by the way? So let me magnify this screen.
Sir, it is visible clearly.
Okay, perfect. Now, so I have also tried to solve this question. So this question was that your input to pulse एक moment, ये मुझे पूरा नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है. Anyway, so if I start with the field of fundamental mode, E0 Ey of x would be a cosine kappa x in the core, and then cosine kappa a exponential minus gamma x a for greater than a. So now if I launch this field exponential I omega t minus k0 z, then remember in this the x dependence is just unity, right? So this x dependence would be now when enters into the fiber, you can write down as contribution from the guided mode, and guided mode is just the fundamental mode, and then contribution from radiation mode. Well, we are not worried about the radiation mode. So if you calculate using the orthogonality of the wave function, if you calculate A0, so then would be integral of phi of x psi of x dx, right? And so this would be simply Ex, right? And if you evaluate this integral, so you get finally this twice a cosine kappa a 1 by gamma plus 1 by kappa, and then tan kappa I have used the eigenvalue equation to put gamma by kappa. So this would come out twice a by gamma kappa into under root kappa square plus gamma square. So you can put it twice a v kappa gamma a. But now remember that we have assumed in calculus you will applying the orthogonality that integral Ey mod square dx is equal to 1. And according to the previous question, this gives me amplitude is equal to 1 by a plus 1 by gamma raised to the power half, right? So that is under root gamma by a gamma plus 1, right? So that A0 comes out to be this. So here I would like to tell you that you can actually the answer given in the tutorial sheet in a sense is right, but in a sense it is also wrong actually. So let me say first why it is wrong. If you are thinking that I ask you to calculate small a0, then that small a0 would come out like this. But remember, the amplitude of the mode, total amplitude would be a0 into capital A. So I have to multiply this capital A again here. And in that case, you will get the correct answer. So are you getting me? In the tutorial
Yes, sir.
sheet, the answer is given to be twice V upon kappa A times in the denominator A gamma plus 1. So that is the point I wanted to made here, that if you are thinking that you are calculating A0, then of course it will be coming out to be as 2V upon kappa A into 1 upon under root gamma into A gamma plus 1. But total amplitude would be, because A is already included there and now it is multiplied by small a0, so that would be multiplied by under root gamma upon under root A gamma plus 1, and so that would give you the same answer as in the tutorial sheet. Any confusion in this question? Shruti?
Yes, sir. This was the problem. Until above, we were getting the right answer, but at last, we were not getting the correct answer.
Right. So do you understand what I mean by amplitude?
Yes, sir.
So bolo by any other question, any difficulty? So tomorrow we will have one quiz and I will discuss this dispersion compensation, and which I have written those article 15.1 to 15.3 from introduction to fiber optic. I expect that you should go through those articles, and most probably that would be the course up to in your minor, right? You should try to solve both the tutorial sheets and try to do other questions also from the book or from wherever you get the questions. And if you have any difficulty, then we will discuss.
Sir, I have a question.
हाँ बोलो बोलो.
Sir, how will you take exam on Moodle?
That is a good question. Actually, recently there was a workshop in IIT Delhi, and they were suggesting that Gradoscope would be quite good. But first of all, I myself do not understand very well, and I do not know whether you understand Gradoscope correctly or not. So I would like to get suggestions from you. If you want, we
Sir,
can go in the same way, or
we will like to go in the same way like we
Same
are
way,
going,
sir.
sir.
I would like to go in the same way.
Same way would be better, sir.
Yes,
It
sir.
is good, sir.
but let me tell you in my what I have thought. If we go in the same way, suppose I gave you 4 questions, and by you should follow the instruction very rigorously. So what you have to do then, you have to make 4 different for each question, separate file, and you have to transmit 4 different files.
Okay, sir.
Right? Because for the sake of uniformity of marking, I generally prefer to check first question of every candidate, then second question of every candidate. So then what I will do, I will first collect your first file from each, and then second file, like that. And then the file name would be serial number. For example, first student serial number is 1. So file name would be 1 underscore, then question number 1 underscore name underscore minor. Right? Is that clear? I will send the instructions.
Yes, sir.
For next question, serial number 1 underscore 2 underscore your name underscore minor, right? This is how we. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
How many questions
Sir,
will be there?
once more.
Well, I will give you number of questions I have to decide, but you should be able, if you have gone through the course, you should be able to finish it, I would say at least 20 minutes before the time.
Right.
But if you are not prepared, you have not go through the course, then any time would be less, right?
Yes. Right.
Sir, exam will be 2 hours of 2 hours.
Yeah, let me decide. I will announce tomorrow. Okay.
Right.
So, any other question?
Sir, exam is on 9th of November at 8 p.m.
No,
So-
that is the end time.
Yes, sir.
So
But
we
sir,
will
we have
start-
also one more paper on the 10th of November in the morning, 10 o'clock. And on the 8th of November also in the afternoon, 3 p.m. So I was asking, sir, there's a really, we have to just prepare in the this after after 3 p.m. or in the 8th of November. We have to prepare for the
you
2
should
subjects, sir.
prepare that in the morning of 9th then.
Sir?
So when we were student here, we had 2 papers on the same day.
Yes, sir.
And minor were not I mean, extra day. Actually, it would be just conducted in the class.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that is how the system.
So actually, the problem is not the thing is the time. The syllabus is very wide and so much less time. So that's the problem.
Syllabus
The
is
notes
not
are
wide.
parallel. We are
I
keeping the
don't
notes
agree.
parallel.
Syllabus is not wide. Let me tell you
Yes,
that
sir.
there are certain self-study
subjects.
components also in the course which I have
Yes,
not
sir.
included right now.
Yes, sir.
But the syllabus is not much. That you cannot say.
Sir, notes are parallel. We are keeping it. We are being in touch with our class regularly. So that's the time for the 2 subjects. We have to after 8th of November. We have next paper on 9th of November, the fiber optics only, and then in the morning only. So that's the thing. So we have to prepare for both
Whatever
subjects.
time is fixed by the institute, that
Yes,
minor
sir.
and major has to be done in this time, in that
Yes,
time
sir. Yes,
also.
sir. Yes, sir.
Because there are several students here of several disciplines. Some time is convenient to somebody,
That time
sometimes.
was Sir, can you please reduce our syllabus a little bit, sir? A little bit, sir.
Say it again.
Sir, can you please reduce the syllabus a little bit, sir? A little bit.
Then the syllabus in the major would increase, right? There is no shortcut. Let me tell you.
Sir, in the
Sir,
uh,
Sir,
Sir, the
maybe
major we
in
have one
major
day
we
only,
have
sir.
a bulk of
No discussion
time
on
before
this.
that. Like
No
Sir,
discussion on
maybe,
this.
sir.
Sir,
No,
in
no.
major we have a 8-day buffer, so maybe they will give 1 day gap in between the exam. Maybe, sir.
Syllabus will be same.
Sir, we are
Max, I
new.
can say that whatever I have covered till today, that would be the syllabus, okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So no dispersion compensation.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
But
Okay,
tomorrow
sir.
I will discuss dispersion compensation and
Yes,
which
sir.
would be
Yes.
included in the measure. So if you
Okay.
don't listen it carefully, then it's your
So
problem.
we will listen to it carefully. We are keeping the notes parallel, sir.
Ah,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
okay. So any other question or should we leave now?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Recording.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Recording.